This is another video in the series on evolution as the basis of faith, and we will continue to discuss the impact of the theory of evolution on the various religions and on civilization in general since the time of Darwin. The many geological, biological, and genetic findings surrounding evolution is so great and so convincing that many people of religion have been pushed into a corner and been forced to reject the very ability of science to estimate the implications of known data. Thus, for example, many people of the faith, in different faiths, reject and deny the ability of carbon-14 to serve as a means of dating, and of course they usually ignore the fact that there are other methods of dating that all corroborate the findings of carbon-14. Some religious people treat the dinosaurs as if they were remains of the flood, ignoring the many genetic and geological testimonies that describe or indicate the evolutionary development of dinosaurs themselves and the tremendous variety in their various species and types. Many raise speculations that are baseless regarding the past processes of great catalytic forces that seemed, according to their claims, to have created the geological testimonies in a short time. There is no doubt that the most common claim among religious people, the great claim of faith, is based on the idea of God's omnipresence and infinite power, the claim that God can create the world as it is, including complete fossils within the time mentioned in the literal description of the scriptures. And since God is the Almighty and omnipotent, by definition, anything and everything can be explained by this, and there is no need for explaining anything. But then the question arises, why should the omnipotent and infinitely powered God provide man with the ability to think and to draw conclusions, and then surrounded him with existential riddles that his sharp brain is solving in ways that do not tally with the scriptures? Ultimately, faith can explain everything, but still, the fact that God has created the world in such a way that we can also explain things, that we can see data that indicates certain conclusions, is also part of the theological picture. A researcher of the religious attitudes to evolution, Witham, describes the words of one of the persons heading a church that is deeply involved in creationism, and claims that in fact there is no mystery involved in dinosaurs because the Bible contains all the answers. The dinosaur was a land mammal created on the sixth day, and it lived alongside people before and after the flood. There were even a few dinosaurs that managed to escape drowning thanks to Noah's Ark. This refusal to accept logical implications arising from the facts of evolution comes up whenever evolution seems to go against the literal interpretation of Scripture. Witham describes how a group of Christian parents went to visit a museum. The idea of genetic engineering drew the interest of the Christian parents and teachers who came to the exhibition. They learned how insulin, a hormone that was once taken from animals, is now manufactured at on a large scale by introducing the human insulin gene into bacteria that quickly replicate. They thought that was one of the most wonderful things in the world. Why would the human gene operate within a bacterium? Asked one of the visitors. Because we are close to these creatures through evolution, through change, explained the guide, but added that 500 million years of creatures on Earth are all written within human genes. Well, when I said that, said the guide told Witham, the screen came down. They didn't want to hear about that. Most creationists accept the genetic proximity of humans to other animals, but claim that God created identical genetic parts. Okay, just don't try to push this description as a scientific explanation, said the guy told Witham. If these creationists have stock in a pharmacy company, he added, at least their purses have to admit genetic evolution. On the opposite side, on the other side, facing those who deny evolution, are scientists and researchers full of passion that identify with the woes and tribulations of Galileo when faced with the Inquisition. These scientists began to see religion and the very thought of God as enemies of science, because in the name of God and in the name of religion, attempts were made to deny their findings. It is out of this latter camp that a few thinkers have emerged that have positioned themselves symmetrically facing people of religion and began to say yes about everything that religion says no, and no about everything that religion affirms. The selfish gene written by Dawkins and the spandrels of Gould represents the very essence of this conception that essentially agrees with religious analyses regarding the implications that may purportedly be derived from the facts of evolution, but instead of rejecting this, they affirm it and embrace it. Thus, they would describe what makes human as a byproduct of mechanistic mechanisms. There is no God, there is no divine image, and there is no soul. Everything is a random result of biochemical processes, and morality is nothing but an invention. So they claim. this great argument, this great conflict between religion and science continues even today in full force, and each side sees the other as crazed. The religion, or as crazy, the religious people in the eyes of the scientists, or as corrupt, the scientists in the eyes of the religious people, and each side sticks to his own guns in a very fanatic way. At the same time as this struggle between creationists and evolutionists, there is a parallel struggle of both parties with a third party, the Bridgers Party, a smaller one that manages to aggravate both of them. And we will speak of this third party in the next